So we did a 5-year sim of Newcastle here, of the Newcastle takeover, to see how they ended up, what happened to them in FM22. Well, you guys, you seem to want more. So we've gone a bit further into the future. We've gone 20 years into the future to see, do Newcastle turn into a superpower in FM22? Let's find out together. Come on. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Clayts, and today we've got a second part of a video that we started not too long ago, a few days ago now. We did a 5-year sim with Newcastle United because, of course, in FM22, they've been given a £200 million budget to start off with after the real-life takeover, and they've just got loads of millions of money to spend, and people are talking about it, so we thought we'd go 5 years in the future to see what happened with them. You guys seem to enjoy it, and lots of you asked for, actually, can we go a bit further in the future? So I've done a 20-year sim. We've been waiting for it to finish, and today I'm going to bring you the results of that simulation. We're going to see what happens to Newcastle. Before we do jump into that save file, a really quick reminder that if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe, because we're climbing. We're making hay with our subscribers recently, and it's you guys that are making that happen. If you haven't already joined in with that, please do hit that subscribe button. Like the video too. Leave me some comments down below. 20 years then. What's the prediction? Are they going to win a Premier League title? Are they going to qualify for the Champions League? Are they going to get relegated and turn out worse than they were before? Those are the predictions that I want to see down in the comments. And I guess we just get into it, right? One thing actually that I will mention, a few of you did ask about what the finances look like at the end of those 5 years. So what I have done is I've added a manager to that save file, which is 5 years in. And we're just going to take a quick little peek at the finances. You see here, it was saying that they were rich and they had about 20 million to spend. If I now go to the finances tab, this is what the finances look like. 36 million pounds in the bank, 19 million pounds transfer budget, 2.5 million, which they are currently over their wage budget as well. Okay, so actually it doesn't look that healthy, does it? Let me just check actually. What's the projection going to be? Right, the projection looks good though. They look like they're going to make money in the future. So that does tell me that probably the ownership of the club is the same. Can I just check that here actually? If I go to, in fact, if I go staff and then go to all, chairperson. Okay, so it is still Yasir Al-Ramayan, who is the same guy who is currently the chairperson. So that's the same. Amanda Staveley is there as well. So they haven't had new ownership, which a few of you were asking as well. So there should still, in the next 15 years, be that money being pumped into the club. Let's go and find out what happens to them, because so far it hasn't been great, has it? The most recent season we saw them finish 17th in the league, only one place above relegation. That would have been quite a story if they'd been relegated after 5 seasons. That's the current state of affairs. They spent 165 million pounds. Will they spend more in these coming summers, and will they get the success that obviously the ownership are wanting? Let's go and find. I'm just going to go and get my time machine. I'll be back in a second. All right, here we are. I feel normal. I feel like we're 20 years now in the future, and here we are. The year is now 2041. We've just finished our 20th season then in this save. Just to clarify, I know I added a manager there to have a look at the finances. Just to clarify, I have only been an innocent bystander. The whole time I have been unemployed, so I haven't influenced anything. There's nothing that will have changed what has just happened naturally in the save, just to make sure. A few of you might have been thinking about that. 20 years in then, I guess the first place we will start is by having a look at the Premier League table. Then I suppose we'll go back to the start and see where they finished all the way until this point. Because if they've done really well, we can see how they climbed there. If they've been terrible, we'll see how they've fallen to that point. After that, we'll look at the transfers. A few of you also wanted to see the managers during this time, so we will go through and have a look at the former managers as well. And then finally, to round off the video, we'll have another sneak peek at those finances. We'll add a manager again to see, have they got a ridiculous amount of money in there, or are they actually down to their bare bones, and has it sort of plateaued as you maybe might expect in an FM save? So first thing then, let's have a look at the Premier League table in 2041. And here it is. Newcastle have finished 10th. I had to scroll down for quite a while there. They finished below Watford and Sheffield United. That is disappointing, I should imagine. If they are only finishing 10th in 2041, where have they finished in the past 19 seasons before this? This is going to be quite fascinating, actually. I think what we will do is we'll go all the way back to the start now and have a look at all of their positions. If I go to stages and then go to the 2025-26. That's where we finished up, right? Yes. They finished 17th here in season 5. Let's just click through and see where they finished in the next 15 seasons. So season 6, they finished... Okay, back up to 6. They finished in the Europa League spots on 63 points. A better season after... So they didn't get relegated after finishing 17th. After that, they finished 8th, back out of Europe again. 8th season, they finished 7th, but didn't qualify for Europe. 9th season, they finished back in Europe in 7th. They've been around that 7th, 8th, 9th spot for a while now. Then it was 6th. That's the best finish so far. I think it is, right? Maybe I'm missing 1 or 2 from the first video. 6th in this season in 2030. Then it was all the way back down to 10th again. And they finished on 54 points in 2031-32. Then 7th. Then 11th, but still qualified for the Europa League. They must have won a competition there, maybe. We'll have a look at their trophy cabinet as well, I think. After that, they finished 11th again. Then it was 8th. I hope you can just spot them here. I'm just struggling to spot them quickly in this. 8th again, 3 seasons in a row, they finished in 8th spot. This isn't very good, is it, from Newcastle? You'd expect them to have spent money here, and they are finishing pretty much on average. I'd say they're finishing 8th. After that, they finished 9th. It's got worse. After that, they finished 9th again. And then the final season we've seen, they finished 10th. They've been a mid-table team. Preston are in the Premier League, though, which is quite cool. Also, Derby and Fulham are still being relegated from the Premier League, so nothing is changing in about 20 years here. But Newcastle, they're a mid-table team who actually won the most titles in that time. City, Chelsea, Arsenal won a league title, that's fun, isn't it? Liverpool, Chelsea, City. No real upsets. There's no Leicesters in there, is there, as you go through? It's mainly City, Chelsea. I think United got 1 or 2. Arsenal got 1. Liverpool got 1 or 2. And that's about it, I think. Let's see what type of money they've spent over these 20 years. Okay, so I've jumped back to season number 5. This is the final season we saw in the first video. Let's go through and just look at how much they've spent. They spent 123 after that, bringing in the likes of Frank Kessié. They also sold the likes of Coquelin and Chao Henrico. I think they brought in the season before. Then 147. Tino Livramento turns into a very good player, by the way. Let's actually have a look how he is. He's now an assistant manager at this stage, but he looks pretty good there. £70 million spent on him. Batista Mendy, Hakon Evgen. They sold a load of players here. £141 million raised. They sold Sesko and Sant Maximan for big money in this season. So actually, has the money dried up a bit? Are they now having to sell players to be able to buy them? Let's see. Mate, no is the answer to that, because they've also then the season after spent £175 million. Patson Daka, Gonçalo Ramos, Jovic in there. Few of the very FM names that I'm expecting you might see a lot this year. They did sell £25 million worth of player, Batista Mendy. They are buying players and then selling them quite quickly, it seems. Season after that, 2029, they spent £186 million, but sold players up to the value of £205 million. So again, they are selling lots here. They're spending a lot, but most seasons they aren't spending like an extortionate amount compared to what they're selling, are they? Felipe was brought in for the most money here. A striker, a new gen striker for £50 million. Another goalkeeper signed. Goalkeeper fans. Volker Farinas, who's now retired, for £40 million. There's probably more in there. They signed Yunus Musa somehow twice. A loan, and then they signed him on a permanent. Interesting, that, from Leicester. They sold then a few players. I think these are new gens as well. Look, a goalkeeper who they sold to Manchester United there. Very fun. It's basically all goalies, isn't it? 2030, they spent £111 million. If I'm missing players, hopefully you guys can see all of the players they brought in and sold, but I probably won't be able to read them all out to you. They did sell £65 million worth. They sold Livramento to Chelsea after buying him for £70 million. Livramento going back to one of his first teams there. He was a youth player at Chelsea, right, wasn't he? Damsgaard was the biggest signing in that season. Next season, they only spent 47. They turned a profit in this season. Is that the first time they've turned a profit in a window? I think it might be. Curtis Jones sold to Manchester United. That's a very fun one. And then they only signed 47 million. Tariq Lamptey was brought in. 2032, they spent 173 million. So there goes those profits. They did those sell players to 65 million pounds. Jovic, who was brought in, also sold. Biggest signing here was Ignacio Beirons, who was a new gen striker. A few players who are real in there. Thiago Almada ending up at Newcastle. Also Brandon Williams and Ampadu. After that, they spent £111 million, but again, sold loads of players. £104 million raised. Van Drongelen out on a free. This must be a new gen. It is. Emil Smith-Rowe, who came in for lots of money, actually. £28 million has gone to Chelsea in that season. Neil Hoskins. Is that a goalkeeper? I really hope it is. It's not. It's actually a winger. I bet this person's a goalkeeper, though. Yes, it is. They are still signing goalkeepers for £25 million. It's brilliant. 2034, they spent only £58 million. Is the money drying up? I'm not sure. We'll have a look at the finances afterwards. Trent Alexander-Arnold, though, ended up at Newcastle, which is cool. They also had Yunus Musa sold for £26 million. Callum Hudson-Odoi went to Rangers. 2035, only £34 million. Is that 2 seasons in a row where they've turned a profit? Not quite, but they did make a profit this season. Only bringing in players for less than £10 million. Most of those, I would imagine, being new gens. Mason Greenwood is there, though, on a free. You also saw some pretty big sales. Charles Temitope going to Manchester City, and he's since moved on to Arsenal. About 5 more seasons to go. Then they spent £50 million. Again, not big money being spent, especially when you consider they sold somebody and players up to the value of £57 million. They did bring in Harvey Elliott for £1.4 million from Manchester City, which is, wow. 27-38 with a few seasons to go. Then £73 million spent, £98 million raised, selling Callum Abbott to Manchester City for most of that money. Mason Greenwood also left on a free to go to Rangers that season. 2 more seasons, I think. No, 3 more seasons, is it? Let's continue. £87 million spent mainly on new gen players and £50 million raised. 2039-40, £71 million spent and £14 million sold. And then the final season here, £12 million spent and £34.5 million raised. Now, that, I don't think, if you actually even just have a look at this graph, you see the big spending at the start here, and you see it does kind of tail off, especially later on, where these blue parts of the money they've spent are definitely smaller. They have stopped spending. They have certainly stopped spending as much as they do at the start of the game. Now, I guess we should have a look. Who is the owner? Is it still? Yo, it's not. David Jimenez is now the chairperson. Amanda Staveley is still there. But the club has been sold to new American owners in this time. Wow, that is a turn up for the books. The Saudi owners are no longer at Newcastle in 20 years' time. The head of youth development, by the way, is Jesse Lingard. And the assistant manager is Craig Shakespeare. That is quite fun. The manager is Ivan Juric. Let's have a look at who their managers were then throughout this time. If I go to history, I can go to managers here, can't I? Bruno Fernandes was a caretaker manager for a while. I love it. So Brendan Rodgers came in at this point at the start of the save. If I hide the caretaker managers, although it's a good job we didn't hide them straight away, because Bruno Fernandes was caretaker manager. Is he the England manager? Bruno Fernandes is England manager. What is going on? This is the best part of this video for sure. Bruno Fernandes is now the England manager. He was Newcastle caretaker manager. Let's see who else they had. Brendan Rodgers, Sampaoli, Conti, Gasperini. Pep had a spell there. And of course, he was replaced by Benny McCarthy. Former Blackburn striker Benny McCarthy took over and had the longest spell there. 5 years. He won 2 cups. 2 of only 3 cups won in this entire 20-year period. That is a paltry amount of trophies, honestly. Thiago Motta, then, the former PSG and Barcelona midfielder, became the manager for 2 years. And then since then, it's Ivan Juric, the Croatian, is he? Yeah, the Croatian manager. I can't believe the fact that... What happened to Brendan Rodgers, actually? He, after Newcastle, he retired. That was it. I can't believe Bruno Fernandes is the England manager. That is wild. That is wild. I think it was Mourinho at the end of the 5-year sim. Since then, it's been passed down to Bruno Fernandes. Sensational stuff. I think, though, with the new ownership and everything in place, I think this is where we will leave it for today's video. I'm sure there are more things. I'll tell you what, though, if you have questions about this save 20 years in, I will happily try and answer as many of them as I possibly can. If you leave a question down in the comments, I will jump into the save file and I'll answer you all of the questions you might have down in the comments section. So there you go. We'll do like a little Q&A that way. But thank you so much for watching today. As always, if you haven't already subscribed, please do make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to do more of these. We've done a Barcelona 5-year sim? Do you want to see Barcelona 20 years in the future? Do you want to see me take the save file even further now to see what happens? And we can just generally check in with the world of football, maybe 50, 100 years in the future. If you do, you need to leave me comments down below and recommend that to me. Subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, and also, as I mentioned, leave those comments down below. Most importantly, after all of that though, have a lovely, lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Imagine all the penalty practice England are going to be doing.